Hi, my name is Alison. I'm making this video to talk a little bit about a comparative analysis between two books. The first one being Swastika Night and the other Brave New World. Uh, I will try to divide this video between among three in three moments, beginning with representation of women and the power or the lack of power over their bodies and minds. The second part, the homosexuality and homosexual acts in these books, and the third part being the personification of power. I'll begin with the very basics now. Swastika Nights, a dystopian novel by Katherine Burdekin. She uses the pseudonym of Morais Constantine. It was published in 1937. Swastika Night takes place in most part in Germany and also in England. It's a place 700 years after the Hitler won the Second World War with Japan against the Allies. So they divided the world between two great empires. So they are highly military government. They see now Hitler as a god. He is portrayed as a very a Nordic kind of hero. He's high and muscular and have long blonde hair with blue eyes. He is said to be exploded from nowhere and won the war only by himself, flying over Russia and destroying everything. It's a place where the sites, such as chapels and churches, carry the name of Himmler and Goebbels, for instance. And the story is about Alfred, who is an Englishman. He goes to Germany and as a pilgrimage to know these holy places, and he ends up finding his friend Herman. Herman worked from Von His. Von His is a knight. Knights are the kind of religion, how can I say, leader and landowner, but he's kind of the opposite of what the government expects. He has a book that was passed from generation to generation, where there is the the truth about the history before the Second World War and before the Hitler Empire. And so Alfred believes this book believes in what von His is talking about. Herman lost his faith in Hitler, and he's sent to England as a criminal. I'm not going to get into details because we have only a few minutes to talk about. Um, so finally, at the end, Herman and Alfred try to hide the book, and Alfred tries to teach his son about the truth and so on. But they are caught by some soldiers. They are beaten. Both of them die, but the book is safe in the Alfred's son's hands. Brave New World's a very famous book, as many people know. It was written by Aldous Huxley. It's published in 1932, 5 years before Swastika Night. So Brave New World, it's in London. It's in the year 632 after Ford. Something about 2000 and 2540 or something like that. So in this place, it's too so far in the future that there's no birth anymore, normal birth as we know. People are previously engineered to occupy places in society. So there are the gammas and deltas. No, there are the alphas and the betas, which are the highest castes. They have some kind of individuality. They are psychologists. They are physicists. They occupy the highest castes in the society. And there are the gammas, deltas, and epsilons. They are mass produced. They have a lot of clones and do the heavy work of society. The government tries to control the population by using some things like uh, open sex and pornography, cinemas and sports and some very silly things like this. And the main thing they use to control and try to turn people into more soft way to carry their lives in a softest way is through soma, which is a drug. People take it and fly away and forget everything and keeps on doing what they were engineered to do. So the first part is about Bernard Marx, which is a psychologist. He likes a girl called Lenina. He asks her out to go to a savage. It's a place where there live Indians and people who does not fit in society. And they meet John, which is a savage who lives in this place, and his mother Linda. It is revealed that she was once was the director, the world state director girlfriend, and she was pregnant, and she was leaving this savage place, and she was obliged to have John in the dirty way. And so they decided to take Bernard and Linda back to London, and then the plot shifts and the focus is on John, who tries to understand a little bit about their costume, their things, what is going on, but he don't actually get it because he is in love with Lenina, but he doesn't understand why she's so promiscuous, why she's so openly in relation to sex. And so things happen. He is very confused. His mother died, and he gets very sad, and he breaks in. He got very mad, tries to destroy a pack of soma that has been distributed in hospital where his mother died. And the police comes and they are carried out to talk with Mustafa Mond, which is the controller of the Eastern Europe. And he was a physicist who decided to choose the power and be this have this status and work with the government instead of pursuing his dreams, and goes after his um, he liked science. He likes the truth, the beauty of nature, but he leave it all just to have this position in society, which he enjoys a lot. So John uh, are kept in the city because Mustafa Mond wants to see what going to happen, and Bernard and his friend, which is what is his name? It's Ham Heinz. They go to different islands where people who does not fit in society are carried out, are sent. So things happen because John is very confused, so he whips himself. He's very confused, and he unconsciously became idol, a celebrity for people because they are uh, always trying to see what is going on with him and filming him and taking pictures. And he ends up in a very brute scene where he spanks Lenina when she comes again to try to reach him again, and people scream the keyword orgy porgy, and everybody starts a huge orgy. Each is involved also in the next day he ends up by killing himself. I'm going to enter the three topics. I will try to speak as fast as I can because I have only 5 minutes left. but in relation to women. There are some differences in how women are represented in the two books. Um, However, there are also some points that make them closer in relation to losing the power of their bodies and the attitudes, taking into consideration the way they are treated in both societies. In Swastika Night, women are treated as an inferior creatures. They're in relation to men. They're described many times and treated many times as cattle, and only the material or the way to reproduce as a tool of bearing the children for empire, especially boys. They're described as shaved hair, dirty, shapeless beings with no soul, no respect, no feelings. They have no civil rights. They have no political sense, uh, nor any sense of their bodies and their minds. And so in Swastika Nights, the concept of rape does even exist. So there is no restriction for men. The only thing required is to have at least one son until he reached 30 years old. And the birth of girls is seen as a very shameful event. So, in the other way, in the Brave New World, children are raised and encouraged since very young to play with sex toys, to become promiscuous as possible as they can when adults. So it's interesting for the world states to want this sexually active and free way of. It's a way to keep them busy and sexually satisfied. It has to do with the happiness in this fake happiness of this society, and they use many other ways of entertainment such as cinema, the sports and physical activities, and the soma, as I mentioned before. In Brave New World, men and women are capable of seducing and show interest in sexual intercourse. Not only men. However, only women are required to take contraceptive pills. So they don't actually have any choice to have the sons or don't. They simply are uh, brainwashed to act like they act, and the only thing that is forbidden or it's not socially acceptable is monogamy. And most part of times in book, the Lenina is the person who uh, uh, tries to she gets in love with the savage, and it's a very bad thing, for her friend to think in a monogamic relationship. So to conclude this part, it was perceived that first, both in Swastika Night and Brave New World, we have uh, no woman in position of power, and they are constantly objectified and compared to meat in a way, and is an inanimate sexual object in Brave New World, and both are presenting a very oppressive. It's a very oppressing view for women. Um, uh, Talking about homoafective relationship in Swastika Night was required. It's the only way to have sex in a pleasure-based sex was men with men. Especially they have a taste for young boys. They that look like girls. They were gentile. They were languid, has long hair. It was always involved with music. And in Brave New World, it's interesting. It's actually curious in my point of view, because it would be fit. It would fit if Huxley talk about homosexuality. If he's worried about, if the world state is worried about reproduction, they should encourage the homosexual act. But it doesn't exist actually in the Brave New World, except for the part of the orgies that everybody's fucking everybody. So there's no actually, but in one hand, here we have the homosexual sex as a must in the society in the Hitlerian Germany and Swastika Night, and while in Brave New World this act occurs only in a particular moment, even though it would be much easier to manage birth control, and it's a mystery for me. I don't know if it has to do with the context of Huxley in the the time he wrote it, or has to do with the pharmaceutical industry in Brave New World, which is very strong, taking into consideration soma, which is a drug, it's a mass-produced drug. So I don't know. I have to look over about this. And very quickly, because my time is already past, the personification of power, Mustafa Mond versus Friedrich von Hesse. So in Swastika Night, we have a pretty clear-cut vision of how people are segregated. Like I said before, they are segregated by blood and by gender. You know, men are uh, empowered one, and women are treated as cattle. And in Brave New World, we have the classes and the functions they occupy. So there's the epsilons, there's the gammas, the alphas, and so on. So Von Hesse is at night. He's a higher class individual. He's above other citizens. So he has the authority. So he's talking about the book for Herman and Alfred. They automatically kinds of create this sense of respecting and listening what he is talking about. However, I see Von Hesse just as a product. He don't actually understands what he's talking about because he didn't lived what his grandfather lived. So even though he agrees with the injustice over women, he agrees about many things that are in the book, he don't actually do anything. He just keep his tattoos. He's keep the name of his family. He tries to pass on this book, just hoping for someone someday starts a revolution, an ideological revolution. But he, in some way, he prefers the status and prefers the place he is. He's totally passive in relation to what is happening in the empire. And in the other hand, we have Mustafa Mond, which is actually very similar to Von Hesse. He's a former physicist, as I said before. He is the ruler. He breaks the rules. He creates the rules, and he was a displaced. He was this displaced person because he loved science. He loved truth. He loved beauty, but he just leave it all to occupy this higher post, his higher this place in society where he is the controller. So he says something about working for other people's happiness, which would be a hard master. So in both cases, they know truth, they prefer to think in a different way, but the system and all that the world became, it's too big, it's too heavy for them to try to repair somehow. So Mustafa reads a lot of forbidden books such as the Bible, Shakespeare, and biology articles, but he still works on ways for people be less and less interested in this kind of arts and religion. So quickly to conclude, just like Von Hesse, Mond seems also to know truth, but being unable to do anything to change things. Both of them prefers to be on the top and keep his names and statues. Besides all of that I talk very fast, I would like to have much more time to talk about. We have many other interesting topics that I would love to talk, like the surnames in Brave New World and the lack of the absence of them in Swastika Night, the experiments in the island, the prison colony, the reclusion places. It's a thing. It's a lot of things to talk about, but I prefer to conclude this with only 3 topics. I think that's it. Almost 20 minutes, but anyways, that's it. Have a good night. Thank you, Maria Rita, very much for showing us these works it's a very those are very interesting books that I will carry through my career, my life. And thank you very much, everybody. Bye bye.